Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Kat and this is the place I talk, and today I'll be talking you through all of the books I bought or was given in April. Firstly, I have two unboxings that I did while I was in England. The first is from Victoria, what Victoria read, and the second is from my friend Zach. So let's have a look and see how chubby I was during my visit to England. I think this is from the giveaway over at What Victoria Read, I think. I hope. Oh wow, there's lots of lovely little parcels. This beautiful little chinchilla. It is from What Victoria Read. It says, please find enclosed the book you won and some additional goodies. So I know what this one is. This is Mythos by Stephen Fry, which is the book I requested when I entered the giveaway. But I have no idea what's in these. This is so cute wrapping paper as well. Look, it's little flowers. Isn't it so cute? I'm so bad at unwrapping presents. Clearly I don't receive enough. Wink wink. Ooh, it's my favourite candy. This is my favourite Easter candy, and we can't even get them in Sweden. I feel so honoured. Definitely don't deserve all of this. Some more sweets, little jelly beans. I can pretend I'm at Hogwarts while I revise for my owls. Thank you so much, Victoria. This is really cool. So, I don't know what this is. It appears to be books from one of my friends, Zachary. We're coming back. So I got How I Lost You by Jenny Blackhurst and No Time for Goodbye by Lindwood Barclay. This was a gift from a friend. I don't know what it is, but it was my birthday last month, and this obviously arrived after we came back from our holiday, and I didn't want to open it until I was in front of you guys. But yeah, I think I know what it is because she obviously asked permission to send it to me. And if it is what I think it is, then you're gonna want one too. You ready? Ta-da! Isn't it so cute though? It's a tiny little snake. It is a Slytherin bracelet. So she has a shop where she, look at that! It's so cute! Oh my god, it smells amazing too. So my friend creates jewelry for the full houses of Harry Potter, and she recently played Sorting Hat for me and sorted me into Slytherin, hence the green and silver, and the little snake. Oh my god, the snake is so adorable. I love it so much. Thank you! If you guys want one just like mine, you can check out her Etsy store. I will definitely be linking it down below. And yeah, oh my god, it smells so good. So the book I got from Victoria was in this box here, and as I said, it was Mythos by Stephen Fry. And now that we are home in the lovely Swedens, I don't mind opening it because I didn't want to damage it on the way back in my suitcase. So this is Mythos. Isn't that cover so beautiful? No, I'm joking. I love the way the light reflects off this. And I also love the fact that it's got like loads of quotes in there, but then just the shoe in the middle. The quotes I'm not as keen on, but at least they're hidden when you've got the book closed. Although they're also here and here. So. But thank you so much, Victoria. I'm really going to enjoy this. I'm going to pop this in my non-fiction category. This very much reminds me of a Greek version of Norse mythology by Neil Gaiman, so I'm hoping it will be as good. This one actually has pictures. I listened to Norse mythology as an audiobook, so I didn't get to see if that one had pictures. But I really enjoyed that one, even though some of the stories were really odd and like twisted and didn't make sense. But yes, thank you very much for What Victoria Read. Go follow her. I'll link her in the description. So the first book I got from my friend Zach, and that was How I Lost You by Jenny Blackhurst. This is a book about a woman who doesn't remember a night when her son was killed. Her son was 12 weeks old when he died, and she has been told by the police and her family and everyone that she murdered her son. She doesn't remember that night, and she doesn't believe that she did it, so she's going to find out what is going on. That one sounds really interesting and intriguing, and I'm scared because I don't read that many thrillers. And this one sounds pretty dark, but hopefully it will be a good ride. The second book I got from Zach was No Time to Say Goodbye. This is also a thriller. This is about a woman who wakes up, I think it's a girl who wakes up in her house to find her whole family has just vanished. And it's about her trying to find out what happened. I didn't bring this one back to Sweden because the library actually has an English copy of this book, so I felt like I should maybe save on the luggage, even though we still went over and had to pay lots of money for Ryanair to ship it here. That's why I don't have it in my hands, but I'm really looking forward to reading it, and I take the present as like a must-read on the TBR kind of present. The next book I'm going to show you is not a gift and is not a purchase. This is China Miéville's The City and the City. I believe this is a kind of urban fantasy or a speculative fiction work. I'm not sure, it doesn't seem to have a proper category on Goodreads, but this was given to me by one of my colleagues, the same one that recommended The Three-Body Problem, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. This is on loan, so I have to return it, but it is mine until I read it. He jokes that I won't read it because my schedule of books is full, and little does he know. But I am going to read this. Hopefully fantasy will come up again, maybe not as much, but will come up again in the bingo for June, and I'll be able to pick up this one as my either recently hauled or, you know, I'm just looking forward to reading this one, okay? It comes with very high praise. And the last book I got for my birthday was from my dad, and this was Till the Cows Come Home by Sarah Cox. Apparently she is a famous radio presenter or something, and this is the story of her childhood on a farm. My dad got this for me, I'm not sure why. I guess because he wanted me to know more about growing up on a farm life. But apparently it's very funny, and he said that if he wants to pick it up, we can do another buddy read on this one as well. But this is a biography. This will be going into the non-fiction or contemporary kind of categories in bingo. And since my dad bought it for me, I am going to read it, and I did bring it back. It got a bit battered on the way as well, which you can't really see it, but it's been eaten. The next couple of books I'm going to take you through were purchases that I got from Altarstones while I was in England, and then carried back in my suitcase and paid lots of money to Ryanair. So let's get into them. I only bought books that I was interested in, obviously, duh. But I also only bought books because that I couldn't find in the library in English. So I'm going to be donating these to the library once I finish them, because I don't like having that many books on my shelves. And yeah. So if the library had it in English, I didn't bother buying it. So you're seeing there was a long list, okay? We sat in Waterstones for like an hour. My partner was incredibly bored and browsing Reddit as I piled up books on the table that I fancied the look of, and then sorted them into the library has them, the library doesn't have them, and then kind of agonized over the last, I think, 10 to kind of choose a smaller list so I could actually A, afford it, and B, carry it home. So yeah, so that's where we're at with these choices. I hope that made sense, because that was a bit of a rant, but let's get going. So the first book I picked up was Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow. This has been super big on booktube. In fact, most of these have been super big on booktube lately. This is about a young girl who is very unlucky. She was born on an unlucky day, and the village believe that she is cursed, so she's going to die on her 12th birthday, I believe. Instead of dying, however, she gets picked up by a man and taken to a wondrous school where she has to complete a couple of trials in order to get in, essentially, hence the name, The Trials of Morrigan Crow. The downside is that she doesn't have magic, so she can't complete these trials. So this is a book about her figuring out how to complete the trials without magic, I believe. This is a middle grade, so it's going to be the first middle grade I've read for a while that isn't in Swedish, but I'm really looking forward to it, and I love how glittery the cover is. I have a thing for glittery covers, apparently. Also, that new book smell, man. Okay, and I'm really looking forward to picking this up. I'm not going to say that again. I'm really looking forward to picking this up. I'm just going to challenge myself not to say it again, because clearly I'm very excited to pick up all of these, or I would not have bought them. The next book is Jack of Parts and Other Hearts. Jack of Hearts and Other Parts by L.C. Rossen. This is the story of a gay teenager at school who has an advice column outside of school about sex, which is very explicit, but he has been threatened with notes in his locker telling him he has to come back into the closet, I guess, or else things will hurt him. Also, the school wants him to stop writing in the advice column because it's getting some negative attention. And yeah, I'm just really excited to read this book because it was highly, highly hyped up by Rogers Reads, link in the description below. Also, I couldn't not buy this because this is actually textured on the cover, and so is this, and that just makes me so happy. The next book I picked up, also in the buy one get one free category, was A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I've got a good memory all of a sudden. This is also shiny, very shiny. I don't like the spine. It looks like it should hurt, not hurt, but you know when you had this as a kid and it if you touched it, it squeaked? A Curse So Dark and Lonely follows is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. There is a Fae kingdom under a terrible curse where this dude has killed everybody. Multiple times. Every year he turns into a beast and destroys the city. And Harper is a woman who gets grabbed and transported back into this kingdom in order to be this prince's last chance for redemption. This apparently has some really good cerebral palsy rep. My sister has cerebral palsy. You can check out her YouTube channel in the description below. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to see if the rep is as good as people say. The next book I bought was V.E. Schwab's Vicious. This is the first book in, I believe, a duology about two young men who discover that the way to get superpowers is to have a near-death experience and go about trying to kill each other. But then one of them goes to jail for something and the other one doesn't. And when that guy gets out of jail, he wants revenge. And that's about all I know about the plot. I'm really looking forward to this. V.E. Schwab is obviously an incredibly hyped author on booktube, and I've never read a single one, not her young adult, not her adult. I'm in the mood for some more adult fantasies rather than young adult, and obviously Curse So Dark and Lonely and Nevermore are both middle grade and young adult. So I wanted to pick this up and see if I would enjoy V.E. Schwab's writing style. Okay, if this is not the first book in the series, if it's Vengeful is the first book and Vicious is the second book, please tell me in the comments so that I don't read this and then get really sad. The next book and the last book I picked up for new was Daniel Keyes' Flowers for Agonal. I actually picked up this little sci-fi classic or masterworks because of Cody over at Cody's Book Corner, probably link in the description, who read it I think in February or March and absolutely loved it. So the story is about this drug that makes you smarter. They're testing it on a mouse and a boy. The boy is, I think, uneducated or possibly has some learning difficulties, and you're reading his diary as the experiment goes on. So it starts off very ungrammatical and the spelling is all over the place, and then slowly as the book progresses and the drug works, his writing gets more and more grammatically correct and beautiful. He still has some social problems, making friends and stuff. And this is about kind of like what happens when he realizes that the mouse has aged really quickly and is now suffering some kind of like motor and spatial difficulties and then dies. I'm gonna cry when I read this probably because A, animal deaths, and B, humans contemplating death, and I don't really want to do either of those things, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. It comes with amazing recommendations from Cody, and I couldn't not pick it up. This pile coming up now is not books that I bought recently, books that I bought a long time ago, but books that I brought back to Sweden in my suitcase, so I had to choose them from my ridiculously large collection over in the United Kingdoms. So the first book I chose to bring back was Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes. This is a classic. This is a huge number of pages, although the pages are like half size. I absolutely love the gold on the spines. Clearly. Spines? Page edges. And this is one of the collector's library, which are super adorable and cute, but the writing is so small. Look at how small the writing is. So I don't know if I'm ever going to read this. I do enjoy the idea of reading a satirical account of a knight tilting at windmills, but it is a huge book, so maybe if Tome Topple comes back, I'll read this one for it. But yeah, I'll have to be super motivated to read this given how much I'm struggling to read normal sized books of 600 pages. But yeah, I am kind of like, I did want to read this at some point, clearly, because I bought it. As I said, it's a satirical story of a knight trying to find love in a society that's kind of just gone beyond knighthood, and yeah, he's all about the chivalry and stuff, but there's no one to chivalry back to him. The next book I brought back to England was the #1 Ladies Detective Club by Alexander McCall Smith. This is the story of a proud young African woman's kind of like detective agency. She solves mysteries. The town is very anti-women solving mysteries or having careers of their own, but she's got the money to do it, so she does. I can imagine that people are a little uncomfortable with this book because it is a black woman told from a white man's perspective, but I remember really loving this, so I wanted to reread it and see what I thought now. The next book I brought back was Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. This is one of my favourite non-fiction Christian literatures. This makes me think a lot, it makes me kind of ponder, and it definitely brings me closer to the divine, so thank you, C.S. Lewis, wherever you may be or may not be now. This book I've read a couple of times. Every time I read it I end up going back to church, and I always end up with more questions than I have answers, but I'm just really looking forward to giving this a reread. So what this is that during or just after the Second World War, C.S. Lewis was invited to give a series of radio lectures on Christianity and what it means to be a Christian nation in Britain, and someone transposed them and put them into a book. I believe it may even have been C.S. Lewis, and it's all about finding kind of like love and loyalty and goodness and righteousness and honour in a time when Britain was really struggling with those concepts, because obviously the Second World War had happened and a lot of people were dying or dead or injured or horrifically wounded or scarred mentally, and it was a big calamitous event in England, as I'm sure it was in many other countries, and this was kind of C.S. Lewis's way of trying to get the nation to come together behind Christianity, and I really enjoy the way that he argues. In fact, his description of omniscience and I think omnipresence, anyway, the time one, I can't remember what the time one is, infinite. His description of what infinite is makes so much sense to me as a physicist that I actually now use this description and metaphor when discussing theology with other people. And the last three are physics books. So I obviously, as soon as I got home, wanted to bring all of my university textbooks back with me for some reason. That would have definitely gone way over the weight limit, so instead I restricted myself to 2 pop science books and then 1 textbook, and if I read this textbook then maybe I can have my other books shipped over to me. So the first one is John Gribben's In Search of Schrodinger's Cat. This is an introduction to quantum physics and what that means in terms of reality. I have tried to read this book so many times and I've never gotten further than here despite completing several courses in quantum physics, so hopefully now that I am more of an adult I can maybe stick with it a bit longer. The next one is a book written by John Butterworth on CERN and, you know, all the experiments where we throw atoms at each other really, really fast. And this one is by John Butterworth, as I said, who was one of my lecturers, or possibly not a lecturer, but someone very close to my university career. And he wrote this book about the Higgs boson and all of the other smashing physics experiments, and I'm really keen to read it. Obviously, I bought it to support him because he was a great lecturer and I really enjoyed kind of like going to talks where he talked and stuff. He was a bit of a hero in the department. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this and learning more about the Higgs boson experiments, because I might know what the Higgs boson is, but I don't know much about the experiments and the way that the research led up to that, because I didn't, and I'm keen to know more. We have the university textbook. This one has a post-it note on it, which is what I was using for bookmarks at the time. This one is by Andrew Liddell and is called An Introduction to Modern Cosmology. This is about the shape of the universe, how we know the shape of the universe and how we calculate it from experiments. It does have some diagrams in it, but I wouldn't get too excited. It also has questions. This also has a note in the front of it from Dr. Furness, who is one of my lecturers. I'm just keen to read this, get back into physics, I guess, because it's been a while. So the next things I'm going to show you are the books I bought at the library during the library sale. So these were super discounted. So these are all of the Swedish books. I predominantly bought easy readers, though I did buy some children's literature. So I got a series of short stories. There are some boobs in this one. The Evil, which is a horror story about a young boy who's being beaten at home and then goes to a boarding school and gets bullied, and I've seen the film but I can't really remember what happens, so looking forward to reading the easy reader version of that. The Night's Darkness, don't know what this one's about, apparently it's scary. Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, in Swedish. This is like She Wanted It, so I think this is a story about rape. I'm not really sure what this one is. I think it might be. I should have looked this up. Sorry, don't know what this is, just grabbed it because it was like 3 for £2 or something. No, it was even less than that. I think it's 3 for £1 and I was like, this is 1. And then finally the 2 children's books I mentioned, Room 213 and Classroom 305. This is children's horror and I'm really looking forward to reading it. I think it might even originally be a Swedish book, but I'm not sure. It's definitely kind of like, there's a lot of copies of this in the library, so it must be pretty good, at least the kids think so. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading these 2. And the final Swedish book, kind of Swedishy book I got from the library was A Concise Swedish Grammar, which I need to work through because my Swedish grammar, like I'm mostly learning Swedish through reading books, and obviously that means that sometimes my grammar is a little odd, so I'm looking forward to reading this. Finally, I got 3 English books. I got Vigilante, which is about a mum who becomes a superhero, and that's all I know about it. It looks really fun. And the other 3 are part of a series, and that is Meg Cabot's Airhead series. This is about a nerd who wakes up in the body of a supermodel and has to pretend to be her and live her life. I'm kind of interested in these. I'm aware it's trashy YA, contemporary / magical realism, but I absolutely loved Meg Cabot's Mediator series. That was one of my favourite, kind of like, I read the first 5 I think, and then I stopped because I was like, this relationship not getting together is torture. And then I also really liked Princess Diaries, so I'm interested to see how it has aged. And you know, there's this picture of a dog, so it has to be pretty good. So I think the first book is obviously Airhead. Hopefully it's not too problematic, because I know that books like this can be a bit problematic with kind of casting the beautiful people as dumb and stuff like that, and I don't want, and fat shaming, so I don't want that to be a part of it, but I am, you know, just a look. Sometimes I need trashy contemporary, don't look at me like that. And then I would be remiss not to mention the 2 books that What Victoria Read sent me very kindly after a shop her shelves. I mentioned I really wanted to read them, and I must have caught her in a good mood because she sent them to me. And that is The Girls by Emma Cline. This one is about a cult that someone joins, and it's sort of loosely based on a certain cult that everyone knows, I believe. And The Hate You Give, everyone knows what this is. It's by Angie Thomas, and it's about a young black woman going to a, I think, private school, and witnesses a school shooting in her neighbourhood, so she's torn between kind of like being able to fit into this elite lifestyle and also advocating for Black Lives Matter in her neighbourhood. And yeah, I know I didn't even realise that, but I love that. I want to read both of these, obviously. And thank you so much, Victoria, from What Victoria Read, for sending them to me. They look amazing. And yeah, that is it from me. That is all the books I bought or was given in April. And remember, if you want to grab one of these beautiful little bracelets and you're not a Slytherin, she also does one for each of the houses, then please check the link in my description for one of your very own. Handcrafted by my friend. Alright, I love you all very much. I'm sorry that this has gone on forever. Next week I will be doing another bingo TBR, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Subscribe if you don't want to miss it, and hit the bell icon if you really don't want to miss it, because then you'll get a notification as soon as it is uploaded. And yeah, have a great week. I love you all very much. Leave a comment down below if you've read any of these and think I should prioritize them, and or if you think that the Airhead series is great. And if you read the Mediator series by Meg Cabot and absolutely freaking adored that pairing, leave love and kisses down below. Alright, I'm gonna go and see you guys later.